So you guys were one. I'm hearing a lot of you guys. You guys wanted a theme song shortened, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that. And when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So it's shorter. There you go. Crazycatlady or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair use, educational, for education and entertainment. Okay, hi everybody, Martha here. So today we're talking about Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, since the dumb fifth one's coming out that I have to go and see because one of my friends wants to go and see it. Person I live with, so you're gonna get a review of it. Wanna find out what I really think of it. But this is for Temple Doom, my favorite Indiana Jones movie. I loved it since I was a kid because I liked it because of the fact it's only one with a little kid in it. And when I watched this as a little kid, I related to I like this one because it's about Indiana Jones saving a bunch of kids from slavery and or child labor, which are they're both the same thing. Um, in this case of this movie, and seeing a movie where a little kid was in it. See, this I know. See, people need to stop. People need to understand you're allowed to relate to any type of kid in any situation. Doesn't matter what race they are. Okay. And I liked this actor ever since this movie. I think this is like the only movie I've not reviewed that I've seen that this actor's in is Goonies. So let me know if you guys want me to have it. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I have it. So if you want me to review that one, just let me know. But so in this one actually is technically a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark, because Raiders takes place during World War II. This one takes place during 1935, and we have a little scene that's kind of the first scene kind of reminds me of a James Bond movie, because how he like enters into the scene dressed up, and he has to like act like a little spy in order to get stuff, but he ends up getting like poisoned. And after he meets Willie, who is played by the directors, the one who's playing this is actually married to Steven Spielberg during the time of this movie. So yeah, they're no longer married right now, but they have a kid together, and they were married when this movie was made. And Harrison has to go, so Indy has to go and get an antidote, and he loses one of his friends, and then once they get the antidote and Jewel, we bump into Short Round, and yep, my favorite character in this movie, Hokey Dokey Dr. Jones. And I don't know, person I live with still thinks that he has a young voice, but I think it's just because of his accent. Not him sounding young, I just think it's his accent. And he is driving. I don't know how old this actor is during the scene, but I think he's like at least 8 or 10. So yeah, or maybe I would say that the oldest he probably is like 12. But yeah, and he drives and uses boxes to order reach the pedals, and then they get onto a plane which is rigged. And but first they bump into Dan Aykroyd. Yes, we have Dan Aykroyd cameo here and you don't know it's him because his face is in the shadows. But if you actually know your movie history, like I do, and done a lot of research into these movies, like I usually do, I've watched behind the scenes about these movies, and also watched a bunch of things. So this is me just informing you that the character, the guy that Indy's talking to here, is Dan Aykroyd. So yeah, so there's your movie fact there. And then they get on the plane and they go to India, not knowing they're going to India because the people who are flying them are trying to kill them. And so they'll fall asleep on there. Willie, Indy, and Short Round. And Indy does not know how to fly a plane yet. He doesn't learn how to fly a plane until the Last Crusade. And I think this is the reason why he learns how to fly a plane, because of this situation right here. So yeah. And then after he realizes that they got hit by the mountain, the top of the mountain hits them, and they have to get out because there's no parachutes. Short Round tells them, and then they get out, and people always say the Fred scene and the down fourth one that we like to forget is impossible. I just watched a game theory. I just watched a film theory about it. Where apparently, for that one, if I were to do a review on it, I'll explain it to it then. But for this one sounds even more implausible because they get on a life raft and they ride that down the mountain, and then they land in a river. So how did they survive that? The fall should have killed them. Explain to me that nobody's ever gotten, like, say, this is one that jumped the shark. Like, I like this movie, but no, that scene when I liked it I liked this movie as a kid, but now every time I watch this movie, that scene, and it's not really something I'm really going to count against the movie, because since later on they do something that's probably just as worse. And later on, because Steven Spielberg and George Lucas have to do things that are unrealistic. But this one I don't mind, because I like this movie. But I don't know. That doesn't seem plausible either. So yeah. And then they end up next to an Indian village, and we know it's India because Indy says it is, because he knows he's probably been here before, in this country before, go hunting for artifacts and ones that we have not seen before. And then he makes Willie eat food there because it would be impolite to not accept food when somebody offers you food, even though she doesn't want to eat it. And she thinks this is bad. Wait till she sees what happens later on in the movie. And then they get on elephants, which I have done. I've ridden on elephants in circus. When I went to a circus once, but we didn't when I got on them, we had a ramp. So I've done this before. So it's fun. But she doesn't like it. Willie, if anything, what I'd really complain about this movie is Willie. Willie is annoying in this movie. I would say out of the four, technically three, because it goes with the same girl twice. Out of the three girls that we've seen so far him with, I would say Willie's technically the one that's most annoying. But if you really think about it, it's not really her fault. She's in an environment where everything is out to get her. Okay, there's vampire bats, there is everything. No wonder she divorces Steven Spielberg, because what he put her through during this movie. So yeah, because she had to touch a vampire bat, she had to throw a snake, she had to have centipedes go in her hair. So yeah, yep. No wonder they end up getting divorced later on in their lives. So yeah, I don't know if that's exactly the reason why they got divorced. Who knows why those two got divorced? But this has to be one of the reasons. So yeah. Um. So they end up getting to the palace because they have to go there to save the kids that who live in the village that they landed on, basically landed by. So basically, and save one. Because one of the kids escaped and brought the evidence of the gods that these people worship and stuff like that. And so he goes to the palace and meets the empress or whatever, or their prince or their king. But I think it's also with the same thing with this accent, because this I don't know if this is it's supposed to be a boy in this movie, but the kid who plays him, either he hasn't gone to puberty yet, or his voice is very high pitch. So I'm just guessing it's just the accent for that group too. So yeah, and so sorry if I'm sounding. I don't want to sound immature or sound like I'm insulting anybody, but it's just insane. Okay, sorry. Um. So this part is the one that probably this movie was made before PG-13 was a thing. So this is technically PG. PG-13 didn't happen until like 1986, and this movie came out in 1984. I'm pretty sure. So 2 years before PG-13 was a thing, and so that's why there's a lot of scenes in here that maybe kids should not watch. But there were scenes in the first Indiana Jones that kids should not watch too. So why is this one any different? And we have like a bunch of them eating snakes and stuff like that, bugs, and soup with eyes. So yeah, and eating monkey brains. I don't know if this scene's insensitive or not, but it always gave me the creeps and grossed me out. I couldn't eat when I'm watching this scene. So yeah, and so Indy goes and gives Willie fruit because she didn't eat anything at dinner. Do you blame her? And we have like a scene where they're fighting that they should do it or not. And so, and she says, 5 minutes, you back over here. And but he gets attacked by one of the people who were beneath the palace, and hangs him on the fan, or he hangs himself on the fan with Indy's whip. And Short Round turns off the light after he wakes up, turns off the fan so he can get his whip back. And then Indy goes and checks to see Willie's room is safe. But she doesn't understand. He thinks that she wants to do it. But so instead he finds a part that one of the statues that is like a pillar that holds up the room, and finds out it's loose and pushes it through and finds the same picture that the kid who escaped earlier shows him, and reads and translates it so Short Round and Willie can understand it because they don't read that language. And Short Round gets the stuff, and Willie stays behind because she has no idea what's going on. And both Indy and Short Round they go into a room where Short Round pushes two buttons. First one, but both of them are by accident, because he didn't see where he was going. The second one is that Indy was telling him, it's leaning against the wall, and he presses the other one. And then they start yelling for Willie to help them, and Willie, being a person that's not in her environment, screams a whole bunch because there's bugs on the floor, like beetles, praying mantises, and one centipede. And praying mantises and beetles compared to the centipede shouldn't bug you. So yeah, beetles and roaches would bug me, A praying mantis probably wouldn't, but if I notice there's a centipede going up my hair, so yeah. And so she has to go for the lever from the gross spot and get him out. And then she starts screaming. She has a bunch of bugs on her. But who's the ones who really screaming? Indy and Short Round, because they're about to die. And then she presses the button again, and they have to get out of there before they all die. And Indy grabs his hat, because he can't leave his fedora. And then we see the scene that also could probably give kids nightmares. And you have to wonder, why did my parents allow me to watch this when I was little? Because my mom liked Harrison Ford. That's why. And because we see a man loses his heart. And I know this is spoilers, but this movie's really old. If you haven't seen it by now, that's really your fault. So I'm sorry, spoilers. And a guy loses his heart, and right before he gets burned by lava. And it's basically a cult for God in this scene. And Indy has to go down there and get stones, that one that actually belongs to the village that he was at earlier. And he goes down there, and both Willie and Short Round get captured. And eventually he gets captured after he sees all the kids from the village being slaves / child labor. And he throws a rock at one of the mean men, and he ends up getting captured himself. And then we find out that the reason why these men are acting the way they are is because they drank bad Kool-Aid, basically, because they drank some blood that makes them act this way. So bad Kool-Aid. If you know my reference I'm talking about, then you know. And Indy is eventually forced to drink it after he gets tortured, and so does Short Round. The Short Round tries to stop him and tries to save him, but he's not able to. So Short Round has ended up doing a bunch of not as much as the other kids, but he does child labor too. But instead of hitting the rocks, he ends up hitting his chains in order to escape. Willie almost happens to what happened to the guy earlier. She doesn't lose her heart, so she can live. And Indy is brainwashed, but Short Round snaps him out of it by burning him, and says, "Indy, I love you." So, and that's my favorite scene is when Indiana Jones gets saved by a kid. And I think out of the two kids I've seen him, well, I guess Shia LaBeouf technically is his kid, so he counts even though he's not a kid. When he meets him, he's a child. He's a young adult. I think Short Round's technically more of his kid than that one. So yeah, so out of the three kids, I don't know. I haven't seen the new one. Nope. Only once I've seen it has been at premieres, so I don't know how good it is yet myself until I actually watch it myself. So yeah, but I'll let you guys know when I watch it, what I think about their relationship. And they have to say Willie. Willie slaps him because he almost basically killed her, but it wasn't his fault because he is brainwashed. And they get out there, and they go and save the kids, yay! And he ends up having a hard time taking down the biggest guard that he threw a rock at earlier, because the prince has a voodoo doll of Indiana Jones and keeps on stabbing him and stuff like that, and he did it earlier in order to torture him. So Short Round has to go and fight the prince and save Indy again, and burns the prince, so he snaps out of it. And then the prince tells him, "You must go down the left tunnel." And so they end up going down the left tunnel. All the kids are now free. And the prince is no longer an evil prince. And so they try to escape, but they still have the evil men slash guards, and the 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 cult leader going after them. And they we have basically the ride. If anything, this is where they got the ride idea from the move for the one at Disneyland that I went on last year. Because you're basically in a minecart, and that one's basically a minecart. So yeah, you got the idea from this movie. And this, we have a bunch of scenes that shouldn't make sense also here, because we have short round. They grab short round after they run out of bullets, and after Indy throws a rock at one of them on the mine carts, and they try to grab short round, but they have a little scene where they have to show up words and switch short round out for a dummy, probably for a little bit, probably right here. And then they put the kid back in there. That's how they probably did the scene. And then we have water get put out to kill them, so they can try to kill these three by making water come out. But they get out for the mountain hole after Indy burns his foot trying to stop the minecart they're in, because the brakes break as they usually do. And he says, "Water, water, 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 water." And there's water actually here, too much water. And then they get out. And then we have another great scene where we have a scene that kind of replicates when he sees that one guy in the first movie. Particularly that's after this, since this is, like I said, this is a prequel, where he has to face two guys with two swords, but now he has no gun. And so he has to outsmart them, and then he sees a bunch of guys with the sword and runs off towards the bridge. And then both Willie and Short Round get captured again, and the cult leader forces all of them on the bridge. And then we hear Indy here, "Prepare to meet Kali in hell." And he cuts the bridge off after he tells Short Round in Chinese, "I'm going to cut the bridge off, basically, so tie yourself up so you don't die." And then we have beneath us a bunch of crocodiles slash alligators. I don't know. It's probably crocodiles because it's India. And they ate happy tonight, because all those extra people that we don't care about fell down and died. And eventually the cult leader is being killed by the crocodiles after Indy, Short Round, and Willie kick his butt. And the British come here after the prince goes and tells because they had a British guy there earlier, and he goes and tells the British guy there to get his friends, and they start shooting at them. And that's how the cult leader gets down there, and they save one stone for the village, and we don't know where the other two stones are because they're down there with the crocodiles. So yeah. And so they get lost at times. Somebody else will find them eventually. And then Indy goes and returns the stone to the village. And then we have a kiss scene. Yay, kiss scene. And then the movie ends. So, what do I think about this movie? It's my favorite one, but even though it's my favorite out of the four I have seen, it does have its problems, like any movie does. So, but it's my favorite one. And I told you why, because it's a movie. It has kids in it, and I loved it as a kid, and I love it now. So yeah. And so I give this one a 8 out of 10. I love it. Mostly I count the 2 points against. Mainly that Willie can get a little bit too annoying, but I understand why she's acting the way she is, because she's in an environment that she is new to. And I would probably say the boat scene. So that's basically it. Those are the two things I'm counting against. But really, those are just really just nitpicks. I really love this movie a lot. So go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. It's on Disney Plus. I have a physical copy, but I love it. So I still have not done Raiders of Lost Ark, or Legends of the Crystal Skull, or the new one, Tall Destiny. So let me know if you guys want me to do those other two. But right now I'm not gonna do any more unless you guys tell me to, or unless something else happens. So I'll see you guys later. Like, favorite, and subscribe, and bye bye.